Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I'm doing a video on 5 things that are overrated or things that people overthink when it comes to solo queue. This is going to be another one of my videos where I'm just kind of talking in a more conversational style. I won't be editing it out. Obviously, I do have my notes written down, so I know what I'm talking about, unless, you just think I don't know what I'm talking about in general, which is fair enough. You can think that if you want, but I'm not just chatting shit. Don't worry, guys. I am, I'm testing this kind of style of video out because I think it's a nicer style, really. I prefer doing it like this, and I think it kind of comes across a lot better than it's just like if I edit something, it's just like really like rigid and just like boring and not very flexible. And I just want you guys to maybe make the videos a bit more interesting, and maybe this can achieve that. Anyway, let me know what you think about it down below in the comments, this style of video and me talking like this. Moving straight on with the video though, I don't want to bore you guys already. I'm not seeing my ugly mug has probably done that, but still I want to try and keep you focused. So let's move straight on to the first point here. The first thing that gets overrated that people overthink about in solo queue has to start with right at the beginning, before the game's even started. Champion select and team comps. Holy moly, do people overrate these things. Like, people just... The amount of times someone in Champion Select has said something like, "Oh, we may as well surrender. Their team comp is so much better than ours," or something like that. I mean, just like, why? What? No, stop. Just don't. No, it's not like that. Okay, it's not like that in solo queue whatsoever. Now, I'm someone who I've been high-low since season 2. Although arguably last season was the last season, like the only season I haven't been in Diamond 1, right, or the equivalent of that. And I've never put any rating into a team comp, because I just think in solo queue, my personal opinion in solo queue is that team comps mean so little, because it really comes down to just how people can play these champions. Like, it's not like you're playing in the LCS or you're playing in a pro game where everyone can play the champions they're playing pretty much to the highest level, right? To the way that the optimal way, to the way these guys are meant to be, the way these champions are meant to be played. In solo queue, it's not like that whatsoever. You're never going to get a game in solo queue, at least I don't think so, where every single player is playing a champion that they are really, really good on, like flawless on. That just doesn't happen. People just pick things that they want to play, and even if that happens to, mean that the enemy team has a better team comp than yours, I would much rather have, like 10 times out of 10, much rather have a team where people have picked champions that they can play, rather than a team which looks like it's a good team comp. Just never worry about team comps in solo queue. It really doesn't matter. Like, things happen in solo queue that you can't explain, and you're more likely to lose because of that than because of a team comp. For example, I had a game where I snowballed my top lane Renekton, one of the strongest laners in the game. I snowballed him, we dove the enemy top laner twice, I got him Rift Herald, he was like 3-0, and then he finished the game 3-10. How does that happen? How does that physically happen? Well, it happens because it's solo queue. That's something you can't theorize about. Same with Champions Select and with team comps. Don't worry about it. Second point, which is somewhat related to the first one, overpowered picks, OP picks. Things you don't need to worry about too much. Yes, if something is ridiculously overpowered, then you should try and ban it out. And yes, they are very irritating to play against. But generally speaking, guys, if someone gets an overpowered pick, it's not the end of the world. Most OP champions are OP because they have like 54% or higher as a win ratio. Now, 54%, if you think about it, that's not really that much of, a really strong win ratio. Like, out of 100 games, they're only going to win 54 of them. You could easily fall into those 46 where that champion loses. It's not the end of the world if someone gets a really overpowered pick. It really doesn't matter. Like, that is ridiculously overrated in solo queue, where someone thinks, people tend to think that if someone gets a very strong pick that the game's over. It's not. It's not over. It's not. You still have a good chance to win. Of course, though, you should still ban out these things, mostly just because, in my opinion, it saves like morale in the team. Like, if the enemy team locks in something that's ridiculously overpowered, your team's going to get really demoralized. That's the biggest reason why you should ban it, in my opinion, not because of how strong it is by itself. Third point here, the value of Dragon. This is something that gets ridiculously overrated as well. Dragon, don't get me wrong, is a great objective to have. Dragon and I are very good friends. I don't want to sound like I'm smack talking my friend Miss Eldrago because I'm making this video, but legitimately, people will try and contest Dragon way too much when you don't have to. Like, if someone sees the enemy team doing Dragon, they will try and stop them doing it when they really shouldn't. To an extent, this happens with Baron as well, although Baron is quite valuable, whereas Dragon is something which I think is definitely valuable, but it's not like something you really need to risk your team over. Like, even if you get like 2 kills on the map, then I would argue that 2 kills is probably, for solo queue at least, it's probably like a similar value as dragon is, right? And if you're gonna risk losing even more than 2 kills just to try and defend the dragon, then just, that's really bad. That's when real problems happen, when you try to defend objectives you can't defend. It's overrated. You don't have to defend that. You can let it go. It's no problem. Fourth point here, safety when playing from behind is overrated. Now this may sound like a very strange point, and maybe you're listening to this thinking, what the hell does he even mean when he's saying this? How is safety when playing from behind overrated? What I mean when I say that is that when teams get behind, when teams have to start forging a comeback, people put an intense value on playing safe, on chilling out, not worrying about making plays, and just like, okay, we're losing, they're so much stronger than us, just don't do anything. That's what I think is like really overrated, intensely overrated. When you are playing from behind, safety, obviously to an extent, has to be some priority, just because you don't want to keep feeding the enemy team by fighting too much. But it is also true that safety is something that you kind of have to throw out the window a little bit if you want any chance to come back in a game. It somewhat depends who's on your team. If you've got a really good late game scaling team comp, then you don't really need to make too many plays. You can just like make sure the enemy team doesn't like take loads of objectives and just like suffocate you before you can even get to the late game. But generally speaking, you want to look for opportunities where the enemy team is just caught out of position, where they're not grouped up. You know, how many times have you lost a game where you thought that you're winning really hard, and your allies has thrown it by being out of position or whatever reason, something like that. You know, I'm sure you've had loads of those. I'm sure you can think of one in your head right now about why that happened, right? It's the same for the enemy team. The enemy team isn't smarter than your team. They're just as stupid as your team is, if you like to believe your team is stupid, of course. I wouldn't advocate thinking that about your team. Every solo queue teammate is very unique and special in their own right, that's for sure. But generally, guys, if you want to come back from games, you have to kind of think, all right, we're behind. The only way we're going to win this is by taking these risks. The only way we're going to win is by, exploiting the weaknesses of the enemy team when they get caught out of position or something like that. You've got to go for that. I can't really describe how frustrating it is when I've been playing on my unranked to diamond account, and we're playing from behind, and I try and make a play. I catch someone and I'm trying to go for it, and people just like, They don't follow up. They just don't follow up because they don't want to go for it. They're just like, okay, no, we're behind. Don't do that. It's too risky. You've got to go for it, guys. You've got to go for it, even if it seems a little bit risky. Sometimes you have to make those risks to come back from a game. Last point I want to make, boys and girls, the fifth point. Fifth thing that's overrated for solo queue. Before I get to it, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video, don't forget to leave that cheeky thumbs up down below. It's a good indication for me to know, whether or not you're enjoying the content of this video, whether or not you think this video is the worst thing you've seen in your life, which would be quite sad for me personally. And if that is the case, I'd recommend you to watch Sharknado. Maybe then it will change your mind about you having seen the worst thing in your life. Or if not that, you can just like rewatch England's performance in the Euros just past. I'm sure that would do it as well. But either way, thanks a lot for watching the video so far, guys. I love you guys watching my videos. It does mean a lot to me. But getting rid of all that bullshit, let's get to the last point here, guys. Last overrated point is the value of finishing an item. I think this is something which happens a lot in the late game specifically, but people, if they're very close to finishing an item, they'll often just leave their team to make sure they get it. If your team's all grouped up and they're looking to do something, especially if you've got that Baron which has like a timer, you want to make the most of it, you're far more valuable just being there, being there with your team and actually influencing the team fight by you being there. In solo queue, people are going to get caught out of position, that they're not going to be careful at all. They're not going to play safe. They're not going to chill out. And what they're going to do is they're going to throw because they're going to fight thinking that they can do shit when actually you're not there. And then it's gonna, that's not gonna end particularly well at all, and you don't want that to happen. So you don't need to finish an item, even if you're, say, on a power level, right? Say you're like a 7 out of 10, and then you're gonna finish an item that makes you like an 8 out of 10. It doesn't matter. When you think about it like that, you realize just how much that really isn't a massive deal when it comes to actually fighting and winning a game. Like, it's much more valuable for you to be with your team than leaving your team to just like go finish an item or something like that, unless it's a ridiculously important item for you. Ridiculously important item, which I can't really think of an example outside of something maybe like a GA if you're the AD carry and it's a really close game or something. I don't know, but still, just don't do it. That's all we want to say for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like I said, you can leave that cheeky thumbs up down below. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments as well. But most importantly, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great, wonderful, amazing day. Is Shad down there? No, I was gonna say goodbye from Shad as well, but he was here, but he's buggered off. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one, and I will see you in my next video.